all excited for the new Legend of Zelda movie, right? I mean, who's not excited to see a live-action adaptation of The Legend of Zelda? And you wanna know what's gonna make it even better? Making Link autistic! Welcome back to Words of Paradise, I'm your host, Leon Idle, and no, I'm not saying that to be rude, I'm not joking. Making Link autistic apparently is the route that games journalists want us to go to address the fact that Link does not typically speak in the games. Make him non-verbal, they say. I think that that is an absolutely insane prospect, but you know, don't just take my word for it. Let's actually go over the article. Let's read through and find out if an autistic Link would actually work. Before we get into the article, hit that subscribe button. We just crossed the 2,000 subscriber mark, and I appreciate that from you guys. Thank you so much. I couldn't do it without you. But now let's go for 3,000. And then let's talk about this. The Legend of Zelda movie has a rare opportunity for Link if it follows a meaningful game detail. Link's lack of dialogue in the Legend of Zelda video games makes pulling off a live-action film complicated. But there's a way to make it work. And how is that way to make it work? Diversity and representation, of course. A representation that is not often seen in films. Let's take a look. Bringing Link to the big screen in the Legend of Zelda movie will be a challenge, but it also means a rare opportunity for some much-needed representation. We got it. We got representation in the first sentence. That's how you know these games journalists mean business. They're coming right out the gate and saying representation matters more than the quality of the film. Representation matters more than whether it is accurate, whether it's something that the fans will want to see. Representation should be the key thing to focus on in a fantasy film based on a video game about an elf-like Hylian who fights goblins and monsters. Movie adaptations of video games are generally difficult to pull off, and Zelda's icon status means fans are likely to be even more critical of whatever makes it to theaters. Link himself won't be easy to bring to live action since the games leave his personality somewhat ambiguous. Well, first of all, the game does not leave his personality somewhat ambiguous. Anyone that has played the Legend of Zelda games knows Link's personality. He is a strong, stoic hero type. Doesn't have much to say, but speaks when needed. He has a good, pure heart. He will do anything to make the world right, especially at the princess's call. He is a courageous individual because he has that, the Triforce of Courage. But yes, call it ambiguous if you want to try and build up your case for why Link should be traumatized or autistic, both of which they go on to recommend. No, Link does not have an ambiguous personality, but whatever. Allowing players to come to their own conclusions about who he is. This is especially true since the Zelda hero has no overt dialogue throughout the games. Link, the timeless hero of Hyrule, was first introduced in the 1986 video game for the Nintendo Entertainment System, The Legend of Zelda. The simple but challenging game gave the character little personality or defining qualities. He was simply a brave hero. This continued for several more titles until The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time introduced the first 3D version of Link in 1998. The Hero of Time's personality was defined only by his various facial expressions. I mean, apparently that's not personality enough. You know, it's only defined by his various facial expressions in an era where facial animation in 3D video gaming was unheard of. It was massive. To see Link's face move the way it did and contort and give these expressions, you clearly had an idea of who Link was even if he didn't have a voice. And the same has been true ever since. This presents a problem for the upcoming Legend of Zelda movie, since it's difficult to imagine a speaking Link. However, there may be a perfect solution, and I'm sure you guys can guess what that solution is based on what I said in the intro to this video. But by the way, for me, it is not difficult to imagine a speaking Link. I don't know about anybody else. Do I want to hear Link speak in the games? No, absolutely not. But it's not difficult to imagine. A non-verbal Link in the Zelda movie would honor the traditional video game character. The idea of a speaking Link is slightly unsettling since he is typically regarded as the strong but silent hero, which, to be fair, there's nothing wrong with that. A strong but silent hero is a very common archetype that we've seen in films, frankly, up until about 2008 when the Avengers movies decided everyone needs to be all quippy all the time, and the stoic hero really took a back seat. Jason Statham's entire career effectively has been playing the strong, stoic, silent hero type, but you know, take that away because apparently that is a very difficult thing to do. You do realize in Hollywood that audiences often find that refreshing since we haven't had it in, I don't know, about 20 years. The 1989 animated Legend of Zelda TV series proved how catastrophic giving Link a voice can be. This version, voiced by Jonathan Potts, was loud, cocky, and a little silly, the complete opposite of the Link we are used to. Yeah, but to be fair, it's an 80s cartoon. Like, I'm sorry. First of all, it's actually a charmingly fun cartoon. Go back and watch some old episodes if you haven't. I'm not saying that's a good version of Link, but it's a charmingly fun, lighthearted cartoon, no different than the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, which makes sense considering it was part of the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. But anyway, the Legend of Zelda movie risks repeating this or distorting the character in other ways unless it embraces Link's traditional lack of dialogue. Now, to be fair, I do agree with this. I do think that Link should speak in the film, but speak as little as possible, or go all out and have him be a full-on silent protagonist and just have his facial expressions, the world around him, the other characters do all the heavy lifting. But while I do want that to be the case, I don't want that to be the case for any sort of representation or diversity purposes, any sort of ham-fisted, look, you can see yourself in this version of Link autistic, kids. That is the wrong way to go about it. Again, Silent Link would be awesome. It would present a very unique way to tell a family-oriented children's story with a character that doesn't actually speak. I mean, Wall-E did it for the first half the film, if not the majority of the film. There's very little to no dialogue, so I'm not saying it's impossible or that it hasn't been done. It would just be unique. But make it because that's the artistic decision you want to go with, not for ridiculous pandering reasons. In the Zelda games, Link yells when fighting or falling off a cliff, but even in the modern titles like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, in which other characters were voiced by actors for the first time, the hero has remained silent. The Zelda movie could continue this trend by making the live action of the beloved character non-verbal. This would ensure that the film remains cohesive with the beloved video games and could also provide Hollywood with the rare opportunity for some non-verbal representation. Now, did anybody tell you that this is what they needed? Did anyone from this community tell you we need a non-verbal version of Link? No, of course they didn't. They're non-verbal. They couldn't tell you that. So where are you getting this from? Where are you hearing this? Link's character is a rare opportunity for non-verbal representation in Hollywood, because Hollywood is just clamoring for non-verbal representation. Yeah, take an audio-visual medium and say, let's cast people who can't talk. That doesn't seem like it would work. There are several reasons that someone may be nonverbal, including trauma and autism. So look, I know I've been harping on the autism side of things, but maybe that's not what you want. Maybe I'm going too hard. You get traumatized Link instead. Yeah, you get a Link that's gone through so much stuff that he's got PTSD and doesn't talk. That's right. Instead of doing Legend of Zelda, we're gonna do Doom or a war movie or something. You guys want your traumatized Hylian hero, don't you? That is so asinine and bananas. The members of this community rarely see themselves represented on screen. Well, again, are they asking for it? I don't think so, for very obvious reasons. This is especially true in the way of leading roles, since nonverbal character presents challenges regarding plot and execution. Additionally, not just any character, especially in the way of the video game or movie adaptations, could work as a nonverbal protagonist. However, since Link is already traditionally silent, and the significant concern for the Zelda movie is how director Wes Ball would manage this, it makes sense for the film to embrace the opportunity. No. What makes sense for the film is to tell the most accurate easy for fans to digest version of The Legend of Zelda. Keep it as lore accurate as possible, keep it as close to the games as you possibly can, and use the version of Link that will be the most digestible, which will likely be one that does speak, but does not speak often. Again, movies have done like silent protagonists before. Hardcore Henry came out in 2015, something like that. Hardcore Henry had a silent protagonist, and you could tell what Henry was thinking or feeling based on his actions. So yeah, you could definitely embrace the opportunity for a silent protagonist. Just not for any of these ridiculous reasons they're stating in this article. Of course, this isn't to say that Link wouldn't communicate at all in the Legend of Zelda movie. Non-verbal individuals will often use their regional sign language. Signed language? Isn't it just sign language? Such as American Sign Language or other manual communication methods. This could be interesting to explore in Hyrule. Don't worry, I know Ganondorf is out there, I know the princess has to be rescued, and I know that Kakariko Village is on the verge of collapse. But let's take a portion of the film to explain that Link uses sign language, something that's never been mentioned in any of the games because Link is not actually a mute. He does, in fact, have the ability to talk. But yeah, let's just add this entirely new, made-up thing so that the vast minority of individuals, I don't know if you can be a vast minority, but you know what I mean, the very, small minority of individuals that can't even voice their displeasure since, they're nonverbal, can feel like, hey, look at that, Link is using sign language. I really don't think that the market that you're saying that we should tap into actually exists in any meaningful way. Because let's be real, Link has been the main character, like you said, since 1986. If non-verbal people needed Link to be able to use sign language, they should have been complaining about that for the last 40 years or so, using that same sign language to complain to you. But they haven't been doing that so far as I can tell. The Fantasy Kingdom already has its own alphabet, which die-hard fans have spent years learning to read. If Zelda director Wes Ball were to get a crew of non-verbal and deaf individuals in on the project, a unique manual language could be developed for Link using the vocabulary of various sign languages. Another excellent opportunity for representation, our favorite word, representation. That's right, not only should Link be nonverbal, but Wes Ball needs to hire a crew of nonverbal and deaf individuals, which, frankly, if you're going to be hiring a deaf individual, you better make sure that they get that call, and it's probably a very easy call for them to miss because, well, you know. But that being said, a unique manual language can be developed for Link. I don't care about that. I don't want them to waste time and resources making this Zelda film to come up with some asinine sign language that was never in any of the games just to make a few folks that can't talk feel better about themselves. That's not why people are gonna go see the Zelda movie. A non-verbal protagonist in the Zelda movie would present several challenges. As great as it would be to see a non-verbal protagonist in a major film, also one who honors the traditional version of the character, this would come with several challenges. First, the Zelda movie would have the job of casting the right actor. It is typically preferred that a character representing a minority group be portrayed by an actor who belongs to that community, because we can't have actors act anymore. Actors, they can't pretend to be other things. They have to be part of whatever group in real life is also represented in the film. You know, you can't have somebody who's gay play a straight character, or straight guy play a gay character. What's acting anyway? You know, what is the tradition of putting on a persona that is not your real life one for the enjoyment of others? So no, actors aren't allowed to act. You have to cast people as is. So if you're gonna make Link nonverbal, you better actually get somebody who can't talk. I hope they can at least take direction. Combined with the necessity to cast someone who pulls off Link's androgynous appearance. Well, again, Link does not necessarily have to have an androgynous appearance. When you look at all of these right here, yeah, you can tell these are dudes. Like, yes, Link does have an androgynous factor to him at times, depending on the artistic representation, but, like, Twilight Princess Link was intentionally masculine. They say that Ocarina Link is supposed to be androgynous, and I can appreciate Eiji Aonuma saying that, but ain't no one looking at this right here and thinking that that's a chick, let's be real. So anyway, this makes Ball's job of finding the right hero of time like finding a needle in a haystack. Moreover, a non-verbal Link must be highly expressive, a tough job for any actor. Not a good actor. Like that's kind of the point of being an actor, is not just reading the words other people have written, but to act. Part of acting comes with your facial expressions and your gestures. Any decent actor, any actor worth just a monicum of the money that they get paid to be in these Hollywood moving pictures should be highly expressive. You can hate Hayden Christensen for his wooden dialogue all you want, but nobody can argue that in those movies, damn did he act with his face in a really believable manner. Additionally, a nonverbal Link isn't a complete solution to all the problems of bringing the character to the screen. Link isn't technically silent in the game, so at least they finally acknowledge that in, the last paragraph? His dialogue is just implied. This allows players to decide for themselves how they think the character would answer questions or interact with Hyrule's various citizens. Because of this, every Zelda fan has a different idea of who this character is. No. The vast majority of us absolutely agree what character this is, because that's why the games sell. If all these people had wildly different versions of Link in their head, there wouldn't be a consistent character, and no consistent character would lead to a lack in sales. People do not like poorly written or inconsistent characters. Most individuals do agree on at least a core subset of Link's characteristics, but again, I wouldn't expect somebody who writes for Screen Rant to understand that concept. Which means the Zelda movie can't possibly please everyone. Those who see Link as someone who literally doesn't speak may be happy with a nonverbal character in the Legend of Zelda movie, but the people who do see Link as someone who literally doesn't speak are flat out wrong, because all the games imply that Link does in fact speak. So if you are looking at the Legend of Zelda games through that lens, you are objectively wrong. I don't know what to tell you. Link, the Legend of Zelda, it's not the same as Jak and Daxter. In Jak and Daxter, Jak is a mute. He does not speak. In fact, the sequel game, where he does start speaking, talks about the fact that he was a mute when he was younger. So there's a difference between a game where it has a silent protagonist like Jak and Daxter, where the character is quite literally mute, versus one that just doesn't have the character speak. So yes, those individuals that think that Link literally doesn't speak, which by the way, I've never met anyone that holds that belief, but if they are out there, they're morons. They're wrong. But there will still be those who feel the film doesn't bring their own version of the character to life no matter what. Well, you shouldn't be trying to bring these people's version of the character to life. You should be trying to bring the character to life. The objective character that is Link from The Legend of Zelda. I know that was quite the rant, and I seem rather frazzled and angry, but it's because I'm so tired of these journalists doing this. Whether it be Screen Rant, or Game Rant, or any of these ones that write for Hollywood, or media outlets in general, video games, movies, comics, what have you, they all talk about the same crap, and I'm so tired of talking about that same crap. Diversity this, representation that. No one actually gives a damn about that, especially if it's an adaptation for something that they love. When Mario came out, the voice actors for Peach absolutely could have been black. Nobody would have cared as long as she sounded and looked like Peach on the screen. Those are the sort of things that we nerds, the people who actually pay for these products, care about. Does this match what I, the fan, who have been buying this product for years, want to see in a live-action adaptation, or in a film adaptation, or what have you? The vast majority of normal people do not give a damn about representation and diversity pandering. They just want a good product. Yet these individuals, these journalists, will fish and fish and fish as if it was a mini-game in these Zelda games to get everyone to care about diversity and representation when nobody thinks it's a big deal if you got any sort of semblance of sense. Those are just my opinions, at least. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at BoltTheWord. And please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about, The Legend of Zelda or movies, but anime, music, video games, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon, because it's all here in the nerdosphere, and this has been Words of Paradise.